We're going to look at actual documents, the leaked ad training manual. The ad itself seems innocent enough to conscious interpretations. A couple of young lovers enjoy a quiet lakeside sunset and a cigarette. Hardly enough emotional pull for one to risk the dangers of cancer. Since its conception in the early 1960s, the subliminal selling strategy for Kent cigarettes has been based on a variation of our top-secret hell sell theory, to visually promise the viewer salvation from death and the loss of one's very soul to the devil. It's an emotional hook that we've cast over and over again in varying forms for a variety of clients. Religious beliefs and feelings about death stir deeper emotions than the frequently used sexual strategies. Enclosed are two photos illustrating one variation of our hell sell technique. One photo is of the actual cigarette advertisement, while the other photo is of an illustration that emphasizes the subconscious emotional meanings of the advertisement. In the photo of the actual advertisement, note that the sky is a dull, dreary, lifeless gray. Had we so desired, we surely could have chosen a more colorful and romance-inspiring sunset. This dull, lifeless sky surrounds a weak glowing sun that is setting. The darkness is fast approaching. Further statements about the sun and its symbolism will be explained later in more detail. Just keep in mind that it's dreary and weakly glowing. The couple sharing this dismal, insipid sunset seen clearer in silhouette than in inner body detail. The man's facial silhouette has sharp features. His hair comes to a point above his forehead. His nose is sharp and pointy rather than round or piggish. The man's chin visually extended by his thumb. This chin area has been retouched so the chin and thumb are one. Focus on their joined hands. Note that their hands form the silhouette of a devil's face, very similar in shape to the man's facial silhouette. His pointy hair tip coincides with the devil's horn, man's left thumb. His long chin, with its retouched oneness with the thumb, coincides with the long chin on the devil's silhouette. The man is facing to the right, with a slightly downward, towards hell, tilt to his head. The devil's face, formed by their joined hands, pact of evil, is also facing to the right with a downward tilt. Notice that the female's head is also tilting slightly towards the man's. In this ad's controlled context, the combination of the man's devilishly long chin silhouette, his thinking position, the devil's face silhouette of their joined hands, and the closeness of their foreheads tell the viewer at their subconscious level that they are in the act of observing some eerie mind-over-matter situation. To further aid in this interpretation, we've placed this devil's head-hand combination directly over the sun. The devil's head is visually in a superior, winning position over the sun. Near the lower portion of this weak glowing, about to go out sun is a horizontal line that ends up at the sun's left edge. This simple line, placed below the blurred background horizon line, indicates that the sun is setting into the lake rather than behind the lake. The death of the sun, due to the satanic mind over matter powers, appears imminent. Of course, this is a physical impossibility at the conscious level. The sun symbolizes life itself. All life, as we know it, cannot survive without the sun. To visually eyewitness the end of life comes as such an overwhelming emotional jolt that the viewer's mind searches for a way to repress such matter. To provide a way out for this disturbing thought, we provided a distinctive weed directly below the horizontal sun-sinking line. This weed makes conscious lock-on relatively easy. It's easier for the conscious mind to interpret the horizontal line as part of the weed rather than to deal emotionally with the death of the sun. This evil couple, with the dying sun trapped between them, are wearing the same color and style pants. Her black leather belt is very wide and masculine appearing. It's not thin, dainty, or feminine. By giving her subtle masculine traits, we've changed their gender in a subliminal role reversal. Several of these role reversal subtleties will be brought out as the ad is gradually explained. The fact that their pants are green is no coincidence. Green is the color associated with witches. Research based on Halloween studies readily verifies that most children who choose to be witches choose green makeup. Children's stories often portray green witches. The green of their pants blends in with the green wild weeds they're standing in. Unkept or uncut weeds represent, in this context, the wild, uncontrolled, uncivilized natural element. The shoes or feet have been retouched to blend with this wild, weedy, green ground area. Feet are often symbolic of one's foundation, of being the cornerstone upon which their lives are based. Devils are often portrayed as hoofed or cleft-footed. Dastardly villains in movies, plays, and TV programs often walk with a limp or crutch of some type. This symbolizes a crippled, weak, twisted foundation on which their lives are based. By blurring the couple's feet into the weedy and wild foreground area, then airbrushing in devil faces and horror faces, we've visually shown that their lives are based on evil and death. Their souls are evil. To further enhance this evil foundation interpretation, the male's knees have been artistically distorted and warped. They bend inward at a dissonant distance, implying a weak knee and warped structure. The female has a dissonant wrinkle in the knee area. Both their pants are full of deep wrinkles and creases, which further enhance a weak, warped, twisted interpretation. Airbrushed into the lower leg of the female's pants is a giant spider. Another giant spider is airbrushed below it, lying upside down on the ground. These two spiders are joined at their abdomens, implying that they are mating. Since small spiders are high on the phobia index for fear arousal, it only stands to reason that larger effing ones would provide the emotional jolt necessary for conscious repression. The dissonant clues are the thin, lightly etched, almost vertical lines that form the top spider's legs. These ultra-light leg lines are much higher than any of the surrounding wild weeds and thinner than any wrinkles or creases. The spider's round bodies provide yet another dissonant clue that can't be missed by the viewer's subconscious. Note that in the man's pocket is something long and hard, as evidenced by the telltale bulge and crease. This is very close to his genital area. The devil's head silhouette is in front of both their genital areas. This mind over matter evil situation picks up sexual power of procreation with the interplay of the following elements: larger than life fornicating spiders, hard phallic object, knife, in the male's pocket, and the devil's head created near both of their genital areas. The giant spiders also imply usage of hidden webs and snares, being snared by Satan, being caught up in a web of death and despair. Spiders often paralyze their victims in order to suck them dry at their convenience, a painful and gruesome death, not the type of thing one would want to deal with at the conscious level. Easy repression material. Both individuals are wearing red tops. Red is the color associated with hell and the devil. Red and green are also color opposites. Since both of these individuals are wearing just red and green, it signifies the joining of opposites and correlates with the devil's pact theme, the union of the devil, red, with the witch, green, to forge a superior evil force capable of overpowering life. By meticulously positioning the couple, we've given their silhouettes many sharp and angular features. Pointy shapes act as a catalyst for early infantile experiences of pain, brought about by sudden contact with pointy objects. In the man's lower back area is a spike or pointy shape dissonant to the round form a sweater wrinkle would normally form. His spine appears warped. A long, pointy spike shape is also formed by the space between his lower legs. A wisp of hair has been airbrushed into the woman's nose area. This visually gives her a long, witch-like pointy nose. Her belt buckle top forms a pointy shape. Two small points have been airbrushed along the top edge of her hair, suggestive of horns in this controlled context. The two individuals are pointing their cigarettes towards each other. These two cigarettes are thinner than actual cigarettes. The thinness implies that these objects are needle-like and pain-producing. Rather than smoking, these two are actually caught in the act of jabbing each other. This is indicative of their sadistic love to inflict as well as experience pain. This pain-loving female is the same height as the male, rather than being smaller. He's wearing a long-sleeved turtleneck, while she sports a thin, short-sleeved top. Usually the female is smaller than the male and dresses warmer than the male in chilly situations. Wearing a turtleneck with long sleeves during the summer weather is dissonant in respect to the short-sleeved female and implies a desire to be overly warm. In this evil context, a love for heat, a love of hellish warmth. These dissonant elements in height and clothing are another subtle way to also convey gender role reversal. She is taller and hardier than most females, while he comes off as shorter and more weather sensitive than most males. Several advertisements in this particular series use a wool sweater in the summer ploy, more obvious than the subtle one used in this selected advertisement. Again, the reader will have to take our word for that, what little it's worth, on this matter. Note that this devil's pact takes place at the water's edge. This symbolizes being on the edge of a new experience, death. The water's edge is where one form of matter, land, meets another form, water. Two opposite forms meet and join. This correlates with the joined hands and joined spiders. A matrix of joined opposites adds power to the subliminal horror theme. Water often has spiritual and religious associations because of its ability to change form. It can either be vapor, liquid, or solid. This adds a mystical ambiance to the evil mind over matter situation confronting the viewer. The viewer is on the edge of a new experience in pain and horror. Lifeless matter often washes ashore to gather and collect at the water's edge. Creatures of prey prowl shorelines more frequently than inland areas. By now it should be obvious to the most casual observer that the viewer is in a bad situation, a situation where eternal darkness, a pain-filled death, and the loss of one's soul to Satan are imminent. By placing the viewer in such a life and death situation, we've activated subconscious instinctual self-preservation channels to the max. Very few people desire to die painfully only to spend eternity in hell. In fact, most people would do just about anything to avoid such a hellish situation. This is where Kent cigarettes come in. Note the top copy of the ad stresses the word good. The word is aligned above itself 3 times. The visual emphasis on good makes it stand out and be associated with the Kent cigarettes. By placing the viewer in a bad situation while promising them goodness with Kent, we've elevated the image of Kent from mere cancer sticks into portable packs of protection magically endowed with soul-saving capabilities. In today's violence-saturated world, where muggings, murders, and molestations happen every few seconds, goodness and protection are subconsciously sought incessantly. Every day, getting about entails contact with strangers and the placing of one's life on the line. These are times of stress and anxiety. What we do is promise salvation and protection through product consumption from the very anxieties we instigate. By tapping into the fear of the new, of the unknown, of dying, of going to hell, we struck emotional gold. Variations of the good versus bad strategy sell a variety of products for us, as well as our competitors. This hell sell strategy is reinforced by the church. Religious attendance by the consuming public reinforces the spiritual reality of hell. This indirectly embellishes upon the emotional believability and pulling power of our hell sell strategies. When one considers the average American sees or hears over 800 advertisements a day, this pulling power is awesome. Since drinking and smoking are such high-stakes items, we cannot let them be driven off the marketplace by health crazes or civil disobedient do-gooders. The high rates of alcoholism and lung cancer provide statistical proof as to the effectiveness of these simple but emotional selling strategies. Let them also stand as proof of our willingness to fight like hell for the rights of our well-heeled clients. It's quite frequent in the advertising field to create leeching techniques that allow us to ride the crest of current religious, social, and economic movements at little if any final monetary cost. The true beauty of this is that the consumer actually pays to be brainwashed, while we corporate fat cats laugh all the way to the bank.